Good Sunday morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator this week, John Becker. My colleague John North is off on some adventure and we hope to see him next week. Joining us this week to talk about that sales tax increase that is on the ballot is one of its chief opponents, GOP Chair Martin Daniel, also a former state lawmaker in the legislature. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, John. Good to be here.
I'm going to introduce our panel and we'll get to questions. Susan Richardson Williams is a Republican and she also runs her own PR firm.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. And Don Bosch is a Democrat, runs his own law firm.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. We had Mayor India Kincannon on last week pitching her idea of raising the sales tax in Knox County up a half penny. Chair Daniel, you think that's a bad idea. Why?
I'm a Republican. That's why. I believe in free markets, fiscal responsibility, and this does make sense. There's several things to consider here. We think the city has plenty of money, and what they do have, they don't use very wisely. They spend it in reckless ways, and furthermore, there's no showing by the city that they've engaged in any conversation about cost cutting, audits, any kind of efficiency. We'd like to see that first before we turn to a tax increase. And John, most importantly, there's no guarantee that these funds are going to go to the places that they're talking about. Now, I'm aware of the ordinance that's pending that's going to direct $10 million to affordable housing, whatever that is. But there's no guarantee that the other funds are going to go where they're intended. We're going to have a new mayor in 2 years. We're going to have a almost entirely new city council very soon, so they can direct this money anywhere they want to.
Let's talk about one of the things. You watched her conversation with us last week on Inside Tennessee, and one of the points she made is, listen, this money, here's a list of projects that the city has for its 6 districts, and those improvements are set to play out over the next 20 years. We can jumpstart, turbocharge those improvements in 5 if we pass this tax. Is that a fair rationale?
No, it's not. And here's why. The primary component of the sales tax increase is affordable housing. Okay? Back in 2021, the mayor, the city council established an affordable housing trust fund. They said at that time that they were going to direct $50 million to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund over the next 10 years. Okay, we've already allocated $40 million. That's $40 million at the end of 2026 to that fund. At the point of about 6.5 years, we're already going to be at $50 million. So they've already turbocharged it.
Is 50 enough to fix this problem?
Affordable housing? Way too much.
You think it's way too much?
Absolutely.
That the crisis in housing in Knox County and Knoxville is not bigger than $50 million? Because I think there are a lot of people that would disagree with that.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Okay, what is affordable housing to you?
Housing that a family of 4 making less than $85,000 a year can afford without spending more than 20% of their net income.
Let's make sure we understand, Don. There's a difference between affordable housing and housing affordability.
Yes.
Affordable housing sounds really nice, okay? But it's not housing affordability, which is what we need here in Knoxville and Knox County. That can be established without a tax increase. All the city has to do is modify its zoning ordinances, allow building to take place much more quickly and efficiently. I've heard y'all talk about the fact that there's a problem down at City Hall in extracting permits from the bureaucrats down there.
I agree that that process is cumbersome.
Big problem. So we just enable people to build single-family units much quicker, and that's going to solve half the problem. And another thing, this city is not business-friendly. You go down here to Edgewood at Broadway, there's a vacant building down here that's my understanding of fast food a restaurant wants to go into that could generate thousands of dollars in sales tax every year. The city won't let them go in there.
And why won't they?
They don't meet the code. Apparently, they don't meet the code. So there's
Martin,
a big
you and I have
difference.
been around
There's a
downtown
big difference here.
for a very long time now.
Yeah.
And I remember, as we say, tumbleweeds would blow down Gay Street in 1989 at 5:30.
Yes.
And now we see what's happened. So when we say we're not business friendly, it can be business difficult and cumbersome, but it's gotten much better. And clearly areas throughout the city, the business has developed. I can't disagree with you that we need to do a better job of allowing that to thrive, but it's gotten much better in the last 20 years.
According to Doug Lloyd, a contractor, electrical contractor who does business in 7 states, it's not.
Also running for city council.
Yes.
As a Republican.
I mean, these remedies we're talking about, permitting, housing, need to start at the top, and they're not. And by the way, when we're talking about modifying the zoning laws and making building easier, we also need to talk about real infrastructure. The mayor's talking about infrastructure in terms of sidewalks and greenways. No. Real hard infrastructure. We're talking about bridges, widening roads, that sort of thing. And ironically, or strangely, the mayor, when she talks about infrastructure, she shuts down the Gay Street Bridge. It's absolute lunacy.
Well, there was a study done that bridge just wasn't safe, Martin. That's a little different than shutting it down arbitrarily, wouldn't you agree?
We can repair it. Take the money that we're going to spend on that pedestrian bridge that nobody wants and repair the Gay Street Bridge.
Well, most of that's been allocated by state and federal grants, not that much by city. And what the city is giving would not repair Gay Street. And the cost on that right now seems to be pretty astronomical. I'm troubled by that bridge being shut down too, but that's not as easy to fix as you might suggest.
Would you we're going to get to you, Susan, at the top of the next block, but just for argument's sake, if this sales tax passes, would you be in favor of spending the $47 million that it's supposed to generate every year on reopening the Gay Street Bridge in a safe way to cars, trucks, and pedestrians and cyclists?
Is that the cost to repair the bridge?
It's probably going to be more than they're going to study it for next year, so we'll have a better idea. I imagine it's going to be a lot more than $47 million, but in the aggregate over the next 5 to 10 years.
If the sales tax proceeds were directed to other places, I think we might be able to get on board with them, including repair of the Gay Street Bridge. Law enforcement, that's what really matters to us. And it's expanding, not just repaving roads, expanding roads. We have, as the mayor says, we have a lot of people moving here. We need to make the roads easier to travel on.
Well, let's dig into some more of those specifics with the GOP Chair Martin Daniel with us this morning on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of our conversation right after this.
Finding peace of mind can be easier when you do it together. So when you're ready for Medicare, Blue Cross can guide the way. Your health has been our priority for 80 years, and we can help find the right plan for you. Just reach out, and we can walk you through our Blue Advantage PPO plans that include a $0 in-network primary care copay, $0 premium options, $0 preferred generic drug copay options, $0 medical deductibles, and with no referrals required, you can see your specialist faster. Plus, we have a new Medicare Advantage PPO plan just for those living with certain heart conditions or diabetes. As the only Blue plan in Tennessee, we also offer support from real people right around the corner. Visit us online or call us at 1-888-739-4383.
10 News Today keeps you prepared for whatever the day brings. Working overnight to get you the latest breaking news.
New developments this morning on a story we first broke right here on 10 News Today.
Stay ahead of the storm with Weather Impact Alert Days.
Beautiful start to the day. It's that time of year, though, folks, where you have to dress in layers.
Start with a team you trust on 10 News Today. Weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. and streaming on WBIR+.
Back on Inside Tennessee, take a look at your screen right here. We're talking about the potential sales tax increase that voters are deciding on right now. It's an up or down vote in early voting. Election day is November 4th. But you see the breakdown in terms of what you make and what it will cost you. On average, the city estimates most families will pay an extra $10 or so a month if this sales tax increase does pass. GOP Chair Martin Daniel with us. He's one of the chief critics of this idea. What do you think about that household income breakdown?
I don't have any reason to dispute it, but $10 a month is a lot of money to someone who makes $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. I mean, let's talk about. We've looked at the list of donors to the PAC that is in favor of the tax increase. I mean, those are mostly wealthy people. We're here. The Republican Party is concerned with protecting and speaking up for the average guy making $50,000, $70,000, $90,000 a year, has a family trying to take care of the kids, go to work every day. That's a lot, actually. $120 a year. Yeah, it's significant. It might not be significant to us sitting at this table, but it can be significant to somebody like that. And what's really kind of strange here is that the mayor wants to impose a tax on people to make what she believes is affordable housing. So she wants to make our housing less affordable to create affordable housing. It's strange. Doesn't make sense.
Martin, I looked at the website for the Knoxvillians against raising taxes, and one of the things I found amusing and interesting was some of the waste things, like the piece of public art that's down on Gay Street, and I think a lot of people would agree on that perhaps $1.5 million, I think, for something none of us quite know what it is, could be a waste. But they also talked about sidewalks and greenways and parks, and I would say that a lot of people believe that those things are great quality of life issues, and it does help economic development and bringing people to our city, more business and more people. Are you really opposed to the sidewalks and parks and greenways expansion that we've had? And we've had a lot of it. Our Legacy Parks has done a lot.
Republican Victor Ashe for much of it.
Did a lot of that too for parks, but it's a great thing for the quality of life.
I think it is, and but we have plenty.
Yeah.
We have 125 miles of greenway. On top of that, we have soft surface trails. We have the urban wilderness. Enough is enough. We have a 207-acre lakeshore park. Why do we need more parks? Why are we going to sell Chilhowie Park for almost nothing to create parks? The whole concept of that.
That was one of the mayor's plans.
And let's keep in mind the mayor. I mean, the city council back in 2022 increased property taxes 20%. My property tax actually went up 28%. I measured 28%. They increased hotel motel taxes in November 24. That's going to raise $2.5 million a year. That tax increase in 2022, $32 million a year extra in the coffers of the city. They're going to add 150 red light cameras and speeding cameras. By my estimate, each red light camera generates $32,000 a year for the city. That's $5 million more out of our pocket into the city. I mean, when does it stop? When does the city say enough is enough?
Well, maybe when there's no more growth.
Yeah, when there's no more money that we can give them.
Well, when there's no more growth, and that's what you commented on at the beginning of the show, top of the show, is that we're growing and we can argue over what infrastructure is and what we need. And I won't disagree with you completely that we need hardscapes. We need widening roads is difficult because then you get into issues like eminent domain and things where you're taking property from citizens. And even as a liberal, I find that a little distasteful. I'm very moderate liberal, I think, but I think about widening North Shore, but you're going to be taking people's front yards. So I don't know that that's a realistic as a major thoroughfare through Knoxville. But I think if we're going to continue to grow, we need to continue to be sure to be able to fund that growth with infrastructure. Do you disagree?
I think that yes, I do, but we have different definitions of infrastructure. What the mayor's talking about is soft infrastructure. And let's talk about sidewalks just a minute, okay? I heard the mayor last week talk about the kids who had been hit by cars out at Willow Springs Middle School. Okay, why are we building alien mushroom art down on Gay Street and spending $11 million on luxury toilets at the quarry? Why not redirect those funds and build sidewalks?
That's your example of mismanagement of the money that's already there. Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely.
I want to hear some more specifics about that because the mayor was clear last week and has been throughout this that we're talking about two silos. One is the budget, and she says that is healthy and robust. And two is what we started with, which is this would just jumpstart a lot of these projects that are already planned for 20 years and do them in 5. What would you say are the top ways that the city's mismanaging money right now?
Well, we mentioned the art down on Gay Street. We've got the luxury toilets at the quarry. Here's one really interesting example. Did you know that you can apply for a grant, a community engagement grant, to get $5,000 so that your association, your community can have a get-together? Barbecue.
What
food,
percentage of the budget are we talking about that you're referring to?
Entertainment. Well, that's probably right there. That question is probably indicative of the problem that the city has. A penny here, a dollar here, you know, here and there. We're just going to spend just a little bit here. We're going to take a little bit. Before you know it, we're spending $47 million.
Okay, we've got to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of our conversation about the costs and potential benefits of the sales tax increase that you're voting on right now in the city of Knoxville. Back with that.
Style or substance. Somehow, it became one or the other. But there is another choice. Not stopping until you have everything in the GMC Sierra. Or get 0% APR with a total value of over $5,800 on this Sierra 1500 model.
Visit your East Tennessee GMC dealers.
The WBIR Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
The risk is there for flooding.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
Some breaking news just into our newsroom.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. WBIR Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's a lot of reasons. Today, our roads are littered with killing machines. I'm talking about semi-trucks. They can easily kill, even at low speeds. Overworked truck drivers are driving all day and all night. Injured in a trucking accident? We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.
Back on Inside Tennessee, again, the city has a website that is dedicated to showing you what the tax increase money would do in your specific district. I'd encourage you to check it out. And again, you're voting up or down on this idea. Chair Daniel, Mayor Kincannon said last week on this broadcast, what could be more democratic than having the public vote yes or no on whether to do this? Do you agree with that?
I agree in the democratic process. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Susan?
5 years ago, the city budget was $336 million. This year it's $477 million. It's a 40% increase. I mean, I've heard you say, I think we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. We don't need that revenue. We've spent enormous amount of money in city increases in our budget. And I've heard you talk about the waste and all of that. What would you do if you were mayor at this point with that kind of an increase?
Or more likely your candidates were involved in city government.
You've got some council candidates you all supporting. They're not Republican named because they're nonpartisan races. But what are those candidates, I think, are opposed to the sales tax increase. In fact, most of the council candidates were. We had two on here that said they were
A majority certainly are.
But the majority have said no. What is the party doing about that from just a party standpoint?
If I were the mayor, I would engage in a forensic audit of the city's books. I would also engage in an efficiency audit of the city's departments and agencies to determine if we have the right number of employees, to make sure we're spending money properly and in a necessary manner. So there are firms that do that. Plenty of them will do that. $2-3 million, we could get it done real quick, and that should have been done before the sales tax request referendum was rolled out.
Well, she didn't. I did ask her the question, do you regret that you didn't mention it in your budget remarks in April? And she talked a long time, but I said, I guess that was a no.
She was pretty defensive about it.
She was defensive about it.
So, Martin, let me change a little bit to politics. You are the head of the Knox County GOP, and let's talk about the city election that's coming up. We've had a show with all those races and all those candidates, and there have been two that chose not to show up, and they both were Republicans, although, again, as Susan pointed out, it's a nonpartisan election. Did you, as party chair, encourage them not to come on this show and be questioned about what they believe in and what they believe is right for the city, or did you have any hand in that, or was it just their choice and their choice alone?
So you're right, it is a nonpartisan race, and yes, I encourage them to come on the show.
Good, thank you.
But we don't hold a gun to their
No,
back.
I
They show
agree,
it or not.
and thank you for doing that. They should have been here. I think Susan and I both agree on that. And our community loses out when they're not here.
Yeah.
To their credit, they did show up when we did the initial interviews prior to the primary in our 6:30 broadcast and came on one-on-one. But again, the invitation open to them to come on.
I wanted to mention before we close about this affordable housing idea that the mayor keeps mentioning. It sounds really nice, but it's not so good. I mean, the primary people that make money off the affordable housing, what I call the affordable housing industrial complex, is the developers. Now let's take a look at the funding that supports this, the governmental funding that supports this. You have what's known as LIHTC, the Low Income Housing Tax Credit. You have the Knoxville Affordable Housing Fund, which the mayor wants to direct many of these dollars to. That was established in 2021. So with regard to the Knoxville Affordable Housing Fund, for every door that Phil Lawson creates, and firms like him, he gets $30,000. So it's no big deal for Phil to write a check for $50,000 to the PAC that supports the tax. He's going to make that up in 1.5 units. That's where some of the grift is going here. It's unnecessary. And to build affordable housing turns out to be much more expensive than single-family units.
I heard you mention single-family units. We've talked a lot about density on this broadcast. Even the county mayor, libertarian-leaning Glenn Jacobs, talks about the need for more density. Is that in conflict with your vision of what should happen? Should there be more single-family or more density?
I prefer to see single family, and here's why. And not only is affordable housing the way that the mayor envisions it, these mid and high-rise apartments, not only is it expensive to construct, it's socially unjust.
Well, in defense of Mayor Kincannon, she has not said that's all she wants. She has talked about single-family units and wanting that as part of the solution as well.
Look at First Creek at Austin. It's a 4-story apartment complex.
I understand.
That's the way they all turn out to be. And they get these massive amounts of government subsidies, which props up the affordable housing industrial complex.
So you think they're making too much, the developers who are involved in these projects are making too much on these affordable housing projects?
Yeah, don't forget, consider this, John. For a $10 million, say you have a $10 million project, the developer typically takes 20% right off the top for a management fee. And the banks are okay with that. Then you get the LIHTC, which is either 30% of the basis, which is the construction costs, or 70%, depending on what the income levels of the people that are in there. I mean, it's a huge amount of money that is being paid to architects, engineers, consultants, construction companies, and developers, like the man who wrote $50,000 check to the PAC that supports the tax.
We only have a few seconds left, but I'm just going to ask you to make a prediction. I clearly suspect that you think that the tax vote is going down. What percentage do you think it will go down by?
55-45.
55-45.
Yes.
So it will be fairly close in your mind.
Yeah, that's 10 points.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll leave it there. Chair Daniel, always good to see you. Thank you for making time for us on this Sunday morning.
Thank you.
We're back with more of our conversation with Don and Susan right after this.
Looking for something tasty? The under $3 McValue menu was made for you. Whatever you're craving, however you crave it, McD comes through. Start your day with any of these breakfast favorites. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So you're on a compounded GLP-1 medication with Henry Meds?
I am.
Now that you've lost weight, can you show us your new moves?
That little wiggle to put on jeans, but they fit now.
I can actually run now.
Spending time with my grandkids is easier.
It's what I've won that's really changed my life, not just the weight I've lost.
Ready to make a move on compounded GLP-1 medications? Take the first step with Henry Meds. Our trusted providers empower you to take control of your health at an affordable price. Go to henrymeds.com today and get up to $100 off the first month.
Looking for something tasty under $3? McValue was made for you. Whatever you're craving, however you crave it, McD comes through. Get your favorites for under $3 on the McValue menu. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Back on Inside Tennessee, I want to show you the map that we were talking about a little bit earlier. If our director, Martin Scorsese, better known as Kevin Sika, could bring that up. Thank you, sir. Take a look at the surrounding counties. They have already maxed out their local option sales tax increase. You see that Union and Knox remain in blue, so it's lower. And the mayor saying, listen, these counties around us are already taking advantage of this opportunity. So should we, and that almost 70% of the cash registers who bring in money in that county sit in the city of Knoxville. That's her rationale. You heard from Chair Daniel. Let's put this one to rest. Don, a good discussion from both people. You hear from supporters and advocates.
Yeah, it is. And look, Martin isn't totally off base on some of the things he's saying. And we've certainly had him on the show in different roles that he's been involved where I've had major disagreements with him. But I do think that he is off base to a degree in terms of, I think the city is pretty efficient. I think they are pretty useful in the way that they spend money. I do agree that permitting and some construction things are difficult, but I think ultimately I've come around that this slight increase in sales tax will be good and useful and productive for the city of Knoxville.
Susan, I asked him to predict the outcome. It's going to be it's a big hill to climb for supporters of the increase. Explain why.
It is, and we heard Mayor Kincannon say she was knocking on doors and getting 80-20 positive, which shocked me, to be perfectly honest.
It's a city election, not a countywide.
It is a city election. We know it's blue, not red. But I think the word tax, as we all know, is just a negative term for anybody. It doesn't matter your income level. I was talking to some folks this week, and people that do well, they're very prosperous, and they're opposed to it because nobody wants their taxes increased. We have higher property tax than these surrounding counties. I mean, we pay a lot of tax already, and even a half cent, if you're buying a big purchase, it can be a lot of money. So I think a sales tax hits the hardest part of our community, the folks that are least likely to pay.
A regressive tax. It is a regressive
Absolutely.
tax.
And so I think it will fail. Martin says 10%. That's probably about right.
I think it'll be closer than that.
There are exemptions. You should read those on the website. They include groceries. But again, do your research because the city does have it laid out and it will tell you what you like and what you don't like about it. Lastly, Susan, 30 seconds.
We wiped the tears from her before we started
lost
today.
Tony Vitello this week. And if you think it's not important, Joe Johnson said the football team was the front porch. He was certainly a side porch to the university.
He was a big side porch, and he brought us a national championship that we hadn't had in a long time in any sport. He brought the fans to the stadium. We got a new stadium, $100 million, and we're all going to miss Tony.
We have a platform that we can build off of. I really appreciate what Tony's done for the program and for the university. He will always be a friend of the University of Tennessee. Go Vols.
And go Giants.
Don, Susan, we appreciate the conversation. Thank you for watching Inside Tennessee.